All right, let's do this. Welcome back, everyone. Glad to have you here with me today. Back here at the Uper Farmer for another lovely episode in the garage. I really should name these episodes. No, cigar talk, garage talk. I don't really want to do them all in the garage. Once summer comes around, I'm hoping I can get outside and do these. I've got a beautiful deck with an awesome view. So I'm hoping that this summer I'll move these outside. So I'll work on the name. For tonight, we are having the Perdomo Champagne 10th anniversary. I was really hoping Perdomo was going to be my favorite cigar. Did a lot of research into their company, into their cigars, and they draw test every single cigar. If there's one thing I can't stand, it is a tough drawing cigar. I really do not like it when you can't get a good draw or good breath through a cigar. That really, don't care how the flavor is, that really just ruins it for me. So the cigar itself, as far as the draw goes, excellent, as all Perdomos are. Unfortunately, the flavor is not good. I've tried about 5 different types of Perdomo types. All of them I went in with the want to love that cigar and have a new favorite cigar, and every single one of them has let me down. But they're still okay. I still have a couple I'm smoking through, and they get the job done. For tonight, I've been excited to try this SISU Stout from Upper Hand Brewery. Nice little brewing company. I do know this one quite well, actually. Like a lot of their products, and I was really excited when they came out with a new stout. Let's see how this... Well, so if you take a look, ooh, it smells delicious. It's got a little bit of a head going. I can guarantee you, though, it probably won't keep that head all the way down. We'll see. Maybe it will. It smells good. Let's give it a try. Oh, that lived up to the name. SISU. SISU. Good name. It's nice and strong. Quite bitter. That one reminds me a lot of the Guinness beers I had over in Ireland. A lot of flavor in there, a lot of character, very thick beer. So I am excited to be drinking that beer. A couple of updates before we get into tonight's topic. First and foremost, as I think any of my 5 patrons or my 5 dedicated followers, thank you guys very much. Since most of you are Facebook friends, drop me a instant message with your address. I'm going to send you guys some Christmas cookies or something, because I'm glad to have you dedicated fan base. But as you might have seen, I started to branch out into how-to videos, which is fun. They're a little more challenging. They're a little more technical. These are quite easy. I just sit down, pick a topic, talk to the camera. So it actually makes it quite easy to make these, and I do enjoy it. I enjoy talking to myself in my garage with a nice cigar and a good quality beer. But the problem is I was only going to post videos on Monday. Just on Mondays, kind of keep a regular routine. But what I found is I'm going to have a huge stockpile of videos here really soon. Now, not really a big deal, but I was kind of like, that's unfortunate. So I think what we're going to do, Monday is going to be these cigar chats, garage chat, whatever I decide to call them. I got to come up with a good name. If I do have a how-to, I think I'm going to start dropping them on Thursday. And then also I want to start making some short movies, little skits, very B stuff. Those I decided we'll probably drop those on Sunday. I'll wait until I get one of the movies done and then decide what day of the week will be the best to drop those on. But I'm thinking Sunday. Sunday for movies. Mondays for talks, Thursdays for how-tos. Sounds good. So as promised, I'm going to come up with a topic. I was thinking about the topics. I had a couple of them listed, did a little research, got a little information together and whatnot on a couple of them. But then I grabbed the beer that I was so excited to drink, and I figured that's what I need to talk about right there, SISU. There's a lot of meaning to that word. If you guys don't know, that's a Finnish term. And very poorly translated, it means strength. With a lot of foreign words, the direct English translation never really does it justice. SISU is more than just strength. As some of you know, or most of you probably know, I grew up here in the UP. That's where the Yooper farmer came in. And I grew up in Finn country, up in the copper country. Lots of Finnish people up there still hold true to a lot of their customs and traditions. If you come visit me, chances are you're staying a lot longer than you wanted to. You're going to be fed multiple times. And even as you're leaving, you're going to turn back and go, man, I don't think we should have left yet. It just didn't seem right. I do love that tradition. Coffee, of course, all over the place. Little tarts, drinks, food. You come for lunch. Next thing you know, you're staying for an after evening snack because you went through dinner. Saunas, definitely love a good sauna. The hotter the better, more steam. Make sure you have your cedar boughs ready to go. But the word SISU, as it was explained to me when I was growing up, actually comes from World War II, is when it really got popular in Finnish culture. To not just mean strength, to mean more than strength, a perseverance to go on, even against all odds, to keep going, and almost go with a smile on your face. During World War II, if you studied any of that, you'll know that Finland did not do bad, but they didn't do great. On the onset of World War II, Russia came and said, you know what, we need a buffer between us and the Germans. So they basically invaded Finland and said, all right, this stretch of land here is now Russian. Of course, the Finnish people didn't take too kindly to that, and started the Winter War. Now, Finland did not have a large army by any stretch of the imagination, especially against the Russian army that was coming down upon them. The territory was actually difficult to defend in some regards. One of the biggest advantages they had was that the Russians attacked close to winter. And if there's one place that the Finnish could excel, it was winter fighting. Many, many great stories come out of this Winter War. The all-time highest kill record sniper, actually, Simo was the guy's name, made his mark during the Winter War. Probably going to be yelled at for not having the exact number, but I believe it was 500 to 600 confirmed kills he had. So many, he was nicknamed the White Death because of his high kill count. And the Finnish people, even though by all metrics should have lost that war quickly, held out for many, many months until it became a war of attrition, which the Russians could definitely win. They just kept throwing people at the Finnish people until eventually it was a war of attrition. They just ran out of supplies, ran out of people, but they fought very gallantly. Even though they lost the war, they won all the battles. Just because, again, attrition, numbers is what it came down to. Now that's when the term first started getting used, that it has strength, that you need to be strong. Now, yes, the Finnish people were used to cold, but so were the Russians. Russia has a lot of very cold regions, as much as Finland does. They had a lot of well-prepared soldiers for wintertime, but I don't care who you are, cold is cold. And you need to be strong to last through cold winters. After the Russians were successful in taking over their stretch of land, the Finnish people then had to deal with Germans. The Nazis, of course, invaded, causing more heartaches and hardships for Finland and the surrounding areas. But it really was the Finnish people's to be strong through this, to keep going, not to give in, not to show your weakness, not to allow yourself to ask for help. This idea of undying strength. Yes, I'm cold. Yes, I'm hungry. Yes, I have people fighting, trying to kill me, but I'm not going to give in. Well, you're going to die. Well, I'm going to die on my feet, and I'm going to die being strong. When I die, no one's going to say, well, he had a moment of weakness and died. No, it turns out he was chopping down a tree and carrying it to back to camp to light the evening fire when he stepped on a landmine and blew up, but he still was found crawling with the tree to try and get it back to the camp because they needed heat. That's SISU. That's strength. It is something we don't have a lot of anymore. You don't see people being strong for the sake of being strong. SISU came to the UP, came to the Americas, on the back of the Finnish people. The Finnish people came to Michigan, settled here, and they decided to do one of three things. They became miners, they became shipfarers, or they became lumberjacks. And to this day, that is still the top three deadliest professions in the United States. People working on ships, loggers, and people working in mines. I got to work up at Eagle Mine. It was one of the first underground mines to be licensed in Michigan in over 60 years. I'm very proud that I got to work there. I really connected with my Yooper heritage because I can say I was a miner. Had a great time doing it. Awesome examples of SISU while I was up there. So while I was working up at Eagle Mine, we noticed that miners would carry snowmobiles in the back of their trucks. Now, one of the trolls that we had, and that's the loving term we give to people who live under the bridge, he kind of questioned one of the miners one day. And he said, you know what, do you guys go snowmobiling after your shift? You work, 12 to 14 hour shifts. You have about a 2-hour drive home. What do? Go catch some powder? And the guy said, what, are you crazy? He said, no, I don't have time for that. I go home and go to sleep. He said, well, why do you have a snowmobile in the back of your truck? He said, well, just in case I end up ditching my truck or putting it into a snowbank, sliding off the road, I can jump on the snowmobile and still make it to work on time. The guy from downstate was awestruck. He's like, why would you do that? And it makes me proud. The miner looked him in the eye and said, SISU, and walked away. That is strength. It's a strength we don't see a lot of anymore. How many people in the United States could get into a car accident, go in the ditch, and not really think of, oh my gosh, I could have died, I could have been hurt, oh, this is horrifying. I need the day off. I got to take the day off to recover. But instead think, all right, well, how am I going to get to work? I'm still going to go work my 12 to 14 hour shift. I might call a buddy to come tow out my truck in the meantime, but I'm still going to get to work. That's SISU. That's strength. That's that perseverance to go on. Even though things suck, you're in the ditch. It may have totaled your truck. It may be that you are now financially burdened because you don't have a vehicle. But you know what? You are going to tough it up, not whine and cry on the side of the road and say, woe is me. You're going to jump on your snowmobile and you're going to get to work. Probably not, maybe mention you went in the ditch, not make a big deal about it. Maybe ask a friend or two who works with you to help pull you out. Finish your day. Deal with your truck, go back home and start it all over again the next day. There are very few people who could do that today. In most areas, SISU is dead. Another good example I have of SISU. I was called to a gentleman. I was working the ambulance. I was cutting down some firewood for his neighbor because he didn't need it. He made sure to tell me that when I picked him up, that he had plenty of firewood. It was just his neighbor was getting too weak and too old to go cut firewood. So at 73, he went and cut firewood for his 34-year-old neighbor who was just too weak to go cut firewood in the middle of the winter. Well, as he was cutting a tree, it bucked on him. Sometimes these trees, especially in the winter when they get snow on top of them, they get spring-loaded, and as you cut them, they'll all of a sudden jump or spring loose. Completely shattered his tibia and fibia, his lower leg. The bones were powderized, gone. Now, he could have very easily just laid down and died. 73 years old, it's not a good thing. But instead, SISU didn't complain, didn't call out for help, didn't use his cell phone that was in his pocket, mind you. He turned off his chainsaw, crawled to his tractor, put his chainsaw back in the case, crawled up onto his tractor, drove his tractor from the back 40 all the way back to the garage. He promptly opened up the garage, backed in his tractor. He didn't pull it in, he had to back it in. Climbed off his tractor, plugged in the glow plug, found a nice comfortable chair, called 911. And when talking to the dispatch, they didn't believe he actually broke his leg. He was calm, more angry than anything. The dispatcher told us later on that he was very angry that he wasn't able to finish cutting that tree down and finish work. Very upset at himself that he did such a stupid mistake. Get there, sure enough, the guy's leg is busted. And the whole time he's asked, well, how soon can I get back on my foot so I can go cut down the trees for my damn neighbor? Not asking, is he going to be okay? He didn't ask for morphine. He didn't yell or scream or say how much pain it was and how horrible it was that this happened to him. He was more upset that he couldn't finish cutting down some trees. He had backed his tractor in. He didn't just pull up to the house and yell and scream bloody murder for someone to come help him. He knew he had a job to do, and he did it. Backed the tractor in. Many of you might not know how tricky it is to back any vehicle into a garage, let alone a big tractor with one leg. For those of you who know how to drive a tractor, you really need two legs. Usually they have clutches and brakes on either side. You can have the multi-brake for the wheels to help you turn a little better. You really do need both legs in working order. And he backed it in. That's SISU. That's strength. That's really what our country needs. We're missing it. We're missing strength in our country. SISU is not whining and crying about who won or who lost an election. It's not getting bet out of strength because someone called you a he when you're a she, or you didn't get a job because of an external factor that you have no control over, or you're not making millions of dollars because you work a minimum wage job. We have people who are just not content. They want to complain. They can't just see what they have that's good. I have a job. Yep, I'm making minimum wage. Minimum wage is $12 an hour. Could be worse. I could have no job. SISU, I'll be strong. I'll work this job. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to get the newest cars or the biggest house, but I can put food on my table. Can I go out with friends? No, probably not. That's SISU. It's not picketing your boss, your employer, telling them how horrible they are and how they need to pay you more and give you more. Mind you, it's not like they're forcing you to do slave labor. You chose to work there. And they chose to pay you. You agreed in the contract. Yeah, it sucks. I've worked a lot of very low-paying jobs. Very low-paying. EMS. We don't get paid a lot. I never complained about it. I was glad to have a job. Now, could I have the newest and greatest iPhone? No. Did I live in a $200,000 house in some posh part of town with Susan and Nancy and Karen's and all those people who sit around and complain about life even though they have it pretty good? No. Were there times where I feared for the safety of my family and carried a gun with me, wouldn't let my children outside if certain people were out and about? Of course. But I wouldn't complain. It was time to be strong. And that's what SISU is, taking what you have and accepting it and being happy, making something of it. So many people I've seen on the news, on the internet, even around town. Some of my college students who I taught paramedic to, who have tremendous opportunities. Opportunities that people died in the mines and out in the lumber fields to give them, who had SISU, who they complain and whine about it. They have full stomachs. They have roofs over their heads. They have tuition sometimes paid for. The college would give them assistance out the yin-yang. But yet they'd find time to say, well, I need more. Give me more. Just recently, I heard an interesting saying that goes beautiful with SISU. Saying goes, tough times make strong men. Strong men make good times. Good times make weak men, and weak men make tough times. It's very true. When I was working at the mine, we would do these updates, these briefings about the mining operations. They're a riot to go to. I love going to them. And we were reporting out safety data. And that year we had 3 people injured. 3 ambulance runs, 3 injured, 3 what they called reportables that year. And the safety team gave a huge presentation how they were going to cut down on injuries at the mine and make it further safe so it wouldn't happen again. Quick note, this beer is surprising me. It's still got a beautiful head going down there, so that's a good stout right there. If you're looking for a true strong stout, find that SISU stout. That's good stuff. Anyhow, back to my story. So they're reporting out to this, and this man raises his hand. He has to be in his 90s. I'm not entirely sure. I did stop and talk to him, but of course I didn't ask him his age. That's just a horrible thing to do. And he said, did I hear you right? You only had 3 people die last year? Quickly, safety officer stuff. No, not 3 deaths, 3 injuries. And he regaled the injuries. One was a smashed finger. The other one was a bit of a twisted back, and another gentleman blew out a knee. And he was just dumbfounded. He asked again, are you sure those aren't 3 deaths from last year? Again, the safety team said, no. What are you talking about? Turns out he worked actually at the Quincy mine shaft, the one up there in the Copper Country. Very familiar. Been down in the Quincy. Beautiful, beautiful tour. I highly recommend if you're ever in Houghton, you check out the Quincy mine shaft. It's an eye-opener. You get to see what SISU really was. And this old man, he had said his piece, so he kind of sat down. I went and talked to him afterwards, of course, though, because he sounded this was going to be a fun conversation. Well, he said they'd report deaths per month. If they could go 1 week without having someone die in the Quincy, well, hell, that was a good week. He said injuries, well, hell, no one ever kept track of injuries. Everyone got injured. That's just what you did. It's astonishing. This is a man who willingly came and worked in one of the most deadliest professions. No one forced him. He said he immigrated from Finland, came up to the UP because mining was where it's at. That's where he knew he could make a living. And plenty of people warned him, well, you're not going to make a great living. You're going to end up owing money to the mine. And that's how they worked back then. You owed your soul to the company store. Good song about that, working on the railroad or down in the mines. St. Peter don't come because I owe my soul to the company store. You had to buy your pickaxes, you bought your candles, you bought your lanterns from the company store to do your job. But instead of complaining about it, instead of striking or being weak about it, he was strong. He built his family. He built his home. He made it so his children could be successful and go off and be engineers and whole host of other jobs because he had SISU, because he had strength. We need more people to suffer. And I don't say that lightly. I don't wish ill will to anyone. But we can't have strength unless we have bad times. Unless we have people who can rise up from true adversity, true pain, and make themselves better because of it, to keep going and to persevere. That's what SISU really is. It's about being strong and about taking that and building the next generation better. So maybe they won't have to have as many hard times. Unfortunately, we've had too many SISU people in our past that things have gotten easy. We don't pride people who are strong. In fact, some cultures or some parts of our culture actually degrade people who are strong. We now have toxic masculinity as a word. Which, fine, there are some examples of how that's a bad thing, but that's what built the mines. That's what built up the UP. That's what built the great cities. Men who were willing to go out and be strong. And women, too. There are just as many good stories of women who were strong. One of my neighbors, an amazing lady who, when she was still young, I think she had 6 or 8 kids, her husband died. She could have said, woe is me, and moved in with family and complained and succumbed to weakness, but instead she had SISU. She raised her children. She did everything she could to put food on the table, to make them strong, to give them every opportunity. She actually didn't end up remarrying until many, many, many years later. But she had strength. She kept going. She provided for her family. She had SISU. So it's possible for anyone, man, woman, child, to have that, to push on. Now, it doesn't mean you can't ask for help. Far from it. But it doesn't mean the second things get rough, you beg for help. You demand help. You ask the government to bail you out. You tell people how unfair it is. Instead, you realize where you're at. And you make the best out of what you have. You back your tractor into the garage. You try to carry the tree back. You jump on your snowmobile and make it to work on time. Because that's strength. All these people who I give examples of SISU through and through, there's an interesting trend with them. They will be the first people to offer help, even though they would never see themselves as accepting help. Again, it's that SISU. They can help others no matter what they're going through. Strength. The world would be a lot different of a place if we had more SISU. More people would be willing to help each other despite what's going on in their own lives. People would push on, become stronger, and really be a shining example for others of those around us. Anyway, I'm going to end it here before I get too long-winded. Hope you're all doing well. Stay healthy, and we'll see you on the next one.